So instead of having your code load automatically here in the head section, you want it to wait until you click the button, get the Flickr data, and then it will load from there. To do that, you have to prevent this script from running, and you cannot put it anywhere on your page. If you do put it, it was going to load right away. Okay. So what that means is we have to turn this off, and we'll load the script dynamically in the script. Okay. So right now there's no script, no API, and if you turn that off and save it and reload, I shouldn't get anything here. Okay. So when I click this button, then it will make the call to that Flickr site and then pull the data and display down below it. So that's you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll turn that off, and I'm going to copy this URL because I'm going to need that. Go into the script, and the function load here. When I load the function, I target my result. I also need to target a button, right? So in here, for now, I'm going to put outside here the URL. I put it here. This is the URL I need to load when I create a script. But let's target the result set here. I need one for the button. So just put BUTON, you go to document query selector or get element by ID. I think I called it button. Then we'll put the event listener. And have you ever wondered why you would do this? Why would you want to add an event listener instead of just going directly into the HTML and apply it there? Click event, and here I'm going to say process data. Not process data, but maybe like load, maybe like load data. So outside of this window function, I'm going to write another function called load data. Okay. So my question to you earlier was, why would I do this? Why do I need event listener? And instead of doing this, why don't I just go into the button here in the script, in the HTML, and do this?
You may not want it to show until the user makes an or clicks the button. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean like, I could do this, right? It will call that function when I click on it, instead of adding event listener and all this stuff here. I could omit this completely. So why would I take the pain just going creating all this stuff here? Because I'm adding event listener, it's the same thing as I'm attaching the click here, event here, same thing. This is maybe much easier this way. Okay, so the downside is this. Downside is later on, if I decide to change this function to something else, right? If I say, oh, you know what, I'm going to call this preload now, preload data. Okay, well, if you do that, you have to go back to your HTML page, and everywhere that's being called, you have to change that to preload. So a lot of hard work here. So if you take that out completely, and you register into the event listener here, all I'm doing is I'm just changing one place, and everything else is solved. Okay, so it's more convenient that way. So
But also, isn't it running in your HTML the other way instead of in your Java?
in here,
Well, you had it, yeah.
No, it's gonna, it's
No,
still,
no. Well, you had the other one with,
you want to click?
load data. You had it in your HTML, in the index.
No, I had
Put
it.
in there, and you load data, you put in there, put in. Now, won't that run on your HTML page instead of your Java?
No, this is an event.
Still, okay.
Yeah, it only loads this if I click on it. Okay, so if you don't click on it, it's not gonna load anything. Okay, so yeah, you achieve the same result. It's just that sometimes this way you can easily put it there. If you have like only about 1 or 2 or 3 buttons, not a big deal. But if you have a lot, and if you want to change later on, change to a different function, then usually it's much more manageable by using this this method here. You can manipulate everything in the code here without touching the structured file. Okay, so when I click on it, it's going to load the data. Call this function here, and this data is going to use this URL. So I could take this URL now and put it inside my load data function. That's the function, the script I want to call. Now what this one does is it's going to attach a script that will look like this one here to the head of this document to load it. Okay, so we're going to create a new element called script. We're going to attach a attribute src to that, and then it will be appended to the head section. So it's about a couple steps there. But just exactly the same way how we added the image element here, we added image to the source to the image tag, and then we append it to the result. Right? Same thing. You can also write script too. So we say var script equal document dot create element. Element's going to be called script. We've got a script tag, right? That's this one here. I'm creating this one here. Now it looks like this at this point. And then I need to get the attribute called src. So I would say script dot set attribute as src. That's the attribute name, and the value for that would be the URL, which is links to this right here. Okay, so at this point it already looks like this. Same thing, it created a script here. I create an attribute called src, and I attach the script and the value as the link. The link as the value for that src. I'm done here. Now it's just floating around in space. We need to attach it to the document itself in the head area. So you could do like a couple ways. One is you could say var head is, you reference that in the document.head. It points to that location, because you don't have to do the get element by ID. You can get the head or you can get the body, right? This way is much shorter. And then you just attach it to the head. So head dot append child and then the script. And that should attach it to the head section. And we're running now. Let's see what happens. gonna save, and I'm gonna go ahead and reload. See if there are any errors. Might get some. So those items is not defined. Okay, so line 15. So line 15, items here is not found because we haven't clicked the button yet, right? So we haven't loaded the data yet, so therefore this G data doesn't have any data yet. Not until after we click the load. So what that means is we need to take this out and put it inside the process data. When we process it, then we get the data. So now instead of G data, we could just get the data directly from here. And this is only for, I use that to access it from the console here, that's all. But really we just put we just get the G data here, the local data. So I'm going to change this back to just the data. Okay, it's confusing, so put the data, the local variable. And then we'll change this, we just use the local variable to get the data. So this only gets processed when we click the button, and the button's going to call this. When I click on the button, it's going to load the data, call this function. It's going to set this function here, it's going to load the script, create a script here, it's going to load it to the head section. And we'll see if it executes. If it does, it's going to run the script, and the script here is going to run this URL and then call back to this process data. And it's going to find a function in the code called process data, and it returns the data to our data here, and then we can access it in that function. And let's save that file and go back and refresh. Okay, click on it. There it is. All the pictures are back. Well, so I think that's pretty much it about the JSONP. Okay, if you know the URL to any API out there that uses JSON padding, then you can load it in your script this way. Flickr is one of them. I'm sure Facebook has its own, Snapchat has its own, Twitter has its own as well. And the format here is, usually it will give you an option of what format it is. JSON, it's very common. I'm pretty sure almost every site that use it will use the JSON format. If you use XML, then it'll come in a different format. And that way, if it's XML, then you have to do a little bit more work because if you just do like data.items dot the way we do here, it won't work because this is only for JSON. So XML is a different format. Just remember that if you put your script directly on your document like this here, as was before, that means it's going to load right away. Okay, it will load right away. You got to process your data. When you process the data, then the data could be processed and displayed here. And you could also notice I put everything in the script here. You don't have to do the way I did it here. You could go back and do like the way we did earlier and put the script live right here. Okay, I could put this back on here, for example, and I just want to show you how that can also be done because you have complete control of your script. If I put that back here, so that means in my script I don't have to call this load data here. I could just say when I click on this button here, it's going to process maybe something else, because I could say instead of load data, I could say something like show images. Okay, show images, and then in my function show images, I could do this way: function show images, And when you do it this way, right, you have to make sure that you have the global data somewhere. So back to this again. This has to be available in the global space. If it's not, then you have to find a way to save this data and then pass it to this function here. But let's just say that I put it in the global space like I did here. And still, when you run the script, it's going to run this right away, load the data, process the data, go to this function here, and then it's going to go right through here first and assign the data. So I won't be using this here, okay? Because if I do this, it's not going to find this image tag. It's not, I mean, I cannot add the result here. It's not loaded yet. Okay, so you have to do things like take this out and put this inside the show images here. Because now all I'm doing is I'm just getting the data. That's all I'm doing. I just grab the data, set the data to a global variable, and stop there. This object now has all my information. From this point on, if I want to show the images, then I can process it this way. Instead of calling the data, I could now call this global variable, which is gdata, and you just change it back to gdata. And again, it just could be any data that you want. So now it should still work because I'm calling, and so this result here, actually I should take this down here. Where's the function here? This guy here shouldn't be here. I could just take that, put it inside the show image. Let me move this. So I target a result just like before, and then nothing changes here. So with this, I no longer need to call this function here. This is just if you want to have the script load this API dynamically. Okay, so you can see that I'm gonna see if this still works, and then save that, go back. Okay, so data should still be there if no errors. I'll see that if I put gdata, you see that it should have all those information there. Okay, all good. We'll click this, it shows the content. Okay, so that's another way. I mean, however you do it, it's completely up to you. Just make sure that we attach this. The only thing you make sure is if you want to display the information right away, you can't do it. It's because this is going to load. It's going to load first. Even if you put inside here, you say, oh, wait for everything loads. Yeah, I wait for everything's loaded, but while I'm waiting, this function already call your process data. And if I put the image tags in here, it does not find that result tag. It's not loaded yet. Okay, so you see the process. So sometimes if you don't do this way, then usually they'll put the script, this API, at the very bottom. So that it guarantees that this will be loaded, okay, without having to wait. Okay, so if your reason is you load right away and show the data result right away, then you put it at the bottom of the page. If you hide it and you just load the data in the memory, and then it's going to wait until you click a button, then you put it, doesn't matter where you put it, in your process function here, because you have complete control to this function here, you just store the data to a global variable and save it until you click on the button or however you want to do it, then load a function to process the data this way. So now I can do whatever I want here because the gdata contains all this information here. And as you can see, I have the image here, the src here. If you wanted to make this image clickable, how would you do it? If you want to, like, if this is a thumbnail, if you click on it, we're going to load it by itself. If I click on it, it only shows that single picture. How would you do it? Yeah, create an anchor, right? So you could go in here and create an anchor. You can say, I got the image. That's fine. I think it doesn't matter the order here. You could do it anytime you want. After you add it or before you add it, doesn't matter here. You can say, get the image here, set the attribute, add the image to the result, and I'm going to go here and say var anchor is document create element anchor tag, okay, and then you have to create the attributes, right? So a dot href is set attribute href. It's going to be point to the same thing, the data here. Again, this is a lot of typing. You can put that into variable name. Okay, it's probably ideal. You could say var image URL is that, and then just put that image URL in here. Okay, it's easier. You can do that, and then a dot set attribute target. I'm going to put here blank, so it loads a new tab, and then you want to add the image inside the a tag, right? So a append child the image tag. So you have to know the order. Once you know it, it's pretty straightforward. In other words, your tag looks like this. A href is the image URL, whatever that is, followed by the image, right? Image something that JPG, and then looks like that. That's a link. Clickable to whatever the image is. And I added the target, so the target would be blank, right? This does that. So once you create the tag, you got the anchor tag. I need to put this inside the anchor tag. Well, it's a child of the anchor tag, so I append the child to it. And then this anchor tag here is a child of that result. So really, I don't put that image here. I put the A instead. So put that down here. Okay, so one child is nested inside another child inside another child. Okay, so now the anchor tag contains the image tag, and then this is contained inside the div tag. Right? So it will look like that, and then you have a lot of them. And if I save that, let's see if that still works. Some error somewhere. Creative object is not function, line 32. Oh, not even object. Sorry. Element, come on. So let's see. Okay, so now this is clickable. See? It loads a new page. And this is like for thumbnails. Right? And then, you know, if you want to style this, you can say style, so your anchor has padding around it, or it has some border or shadow if you want, using CSS. So now each of these is clickable, and they are fully functional if you want to do that.
Could you do